Hi everyone, my name is Song Il Lee, a missionary going to fish. I missed all of you so badly. It has been my pleasure to hear your core stories. It's really thankful for me to overcome the cabin fever under the COVID-19 pandemic. In your stories, I found that how God of harvest sends out workers into harvest fields. Each of your stories to me is amazing and awesome. Today I'd like to share my core story with you. Actually, it's not my first but second core story because I was a former Korean Army chaplain and a missionary to the Philippines during 1991 to 96. Although I cherished my time in the Philippines as a missionary, I felt God prompting to study missiology in the United States. Like before and after obtaining my doctorate in missiology, I had tried to return twice, 2001 and 2007, to mission field, but was convicted by the Christ to stay in the United States. At that time, I didn't know why the Lord kept me from leaving the United States. I couldn't help but serve Korean immigrant churches for the past 24 years. Thus, my second core story began with these questions. Why God told me not to go back to mission field again? Why didn't God release me from the burden in the back of mind? That is a burden I have to go back to the mission field again in order to keep what I promised with God, with myself, and with my other church in Korea. If God allowed me to stay in the United States. In order to let go of this burden, I'm used to embracing opportunity to learn from and support and visit missionary effort in countries, Dominican Republic, the Philippines, India, and Ukraine, Kenya, Senegal, to make disciples of Jesus Christ, because I hoped to continue my first calling of serving overseas mission. Meanwhile, the more I think the American life become a comfort zone for me, the more my heart got impatient with the thought that if I didn't decide to leave right now, I couldn't go back to the mission field again until I die. One day, no sooner a thought that I live only once came across to my mind than a courage was given from the above, a courage to venture the future as a non-residential and itinerant missionary, a courage to live a Sabbath year, and a brave heart to arrange visiting schedules with my missionary friends in India, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Nepal. This visit not only gave me spiritual satisfactions, but also made me released from all the burdens in the back of my mind. During the 4 months of the short-term mission trip in 2019, I had been praying to God of the harvest who would open the door for me to work in his harvest field. My prayer got quickly answered through the GBGM. At the time, I was meditating John 21:18. Says, Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." I tell you the truth, where you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go. The phrase "when you were younger" was meant to be when I become self-centered, or when I had the thought no one can live my life for me. The Holy Spirit illuminated how I used to ignore God's will and try to fulfill my plan and my proposal beyond God's will and God's plan. But the other phrase, when you are old, was understood as when I am God-centered, when I'm willing to be guided by the Holy Spirit. And the word someone else was accepted as the Holy Spirit. I was so delighted to accept the offer to go to Fiji, even though I never thought about Fiji, but some countries in 1040 windows, because I believe that God called me through the GBGM to Fiji, his harvest fields. Who would have dreamed? I'm very delightful with the dream of making disciples of Jesus Christ. I'm so excited to continue on this journey of grace that I have been invited to work in Fiji with Jesus Christ. God has been reminding me that for all my learning and experience, I should lean not on my own understanding, but learn to rely on the love and the movement of the Holy Spirit. I'm learning that engaging in mission is about following Jesus and his lived examples of serving and caring and empowering others. I'm of deep conviction that living into God's mission is to always share the gospel of God's mercy and grace and participating in the kingdom building work of letting God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Please pray for me to be a channel of blessings. Thanks for your hearing my story.